It's because they defeated us where it matters the most, which is the mind. It started with the missionaries in Africa long before slavery. They were sent by the Roman Catholic Church to subdue the Africans, make them believe that when you get slapped, turn the other cheek, and that your riches are in heaven.
I have no time for borders. Why? I have no time for colonialism. They don't have borders in Europe. But when it comes to us, they say, no, you must have borders. Why? The division of of Africa is what makes them thrive. They thrive on the division of the African continent. Can you imagine the minerals of DRC combined with the minerals of South Africa and with a new currency based on the minerals? What we can do to the dollar if we become a United States of Africa with our minerals alone? We can collapse the dollar.
We must unite now. We must have one army. We must have one currency. We must have one foreign policy. We must be united.
Africa is falling. Africa is losing its way. Africa is losing its value, its dignity. Africa is losing its control. And all these are happening just because of the leaders that we are having in Africa. These are the people who don't want to see the progress of Africa. These are the people who don't want to see to achieve the dreams that our forefathers, the freedom fighters, had, and their intention of fighting for the Africans. You know, I ask myself such some questions. Are our leaders read the history of Africa? Are they able to go through the history of Africa? Are they able to listen to some people who have done most researches our colonizers are getting? And that's the tickets, the reasons why they're getting easily to access to African and exploit Africa. Take example of some countries like Congo. Congo is the most richest country in resources in the face of the world. The Congo richest is worth $1 billion more than the economy of United States. But now the same Congo is the most poorest country in Africa. Why? Because the government of Congo has never given the chance of these resources and minerals of be well utilized and used. But they are just collaborating. Any leader that are coming in to power in Congo, they are collaborating with some foreigners so that they can come and exploit, take every sort of minerals to their countries, leaving Congo with worse conditions, war every time. People running and flew away from this country, leaving their resources, their rich farms, their families, people separating, people running as refugees in different countries, while their countries are the main richest country in the face of the world. Take example of the country like Sudan. Sudan being the largest country of Africa, covered with the largest forest, clean environment, fertile lands, minerals, and clean water. But yet this country has nothing to do with its citizens. The people in this country are always refugees running from this country and finding themselves in the refugees camps in some different countries of Africa. Country like Burkina Faso and so many countries which has not yet been discovered, not yet come out and discovered for many people. But African countries are going through the worst situations. If the leaders could be going through the countries, through the history of Africa, then they would have put more efforts working towards the restoring Africa. bringing back the effort, the dignity and the greatness of Africa. But now, if this is the way that will continue, then Africa will no longer be and respected. Like South Africa. In South Africa, we have Julius Malema. This is the guy who is fighting for these countries always. This is the guy who has tried so many times to run for the presidency of this country and maybe got that chance so that he can take this country shape to the way that the other leaders of Africans can be taking as example. But what is happening in that country is just the same way as happening in like countries like Kenya and Uganda, whereby a candidate can go to the election, win the election, but he cannot get that access or given that chance to lead the nation because of some corruption and some sort of bad leadership that are going in this country. Julius Malema, everyone and every Africa would like to see his leadership leading the country of South Africa. South Africa is a very developed country in Africa, having every reason to do anything they want. But South Africa cannot produce their cars, but only resembled cars from Japan. And these are agreements that has been put there for a very long time, South Africa with Japan, that you cannot manufacture your own car, but only you can be able to resemble from Japan, and not just by that, but by resembling these parts to make a car from Japan, they have to cost a lot. See a country like Kenya, like Sudan, they have a lot of minerals, but they cannot use these minerals to make their own products, but only they can sell out and buy their goods, the finished product from other countries. These are the situations that we are having, and this is the status of Africa. We have the leaders who have arisen, and they're trying so hard to shape the countries of Africa, their countries, so that they can get out and be seen as different part of Africa. Take an example of the countries like from the West Africa, countries like Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali. These are the countries who has been now being led by the captains. And that's why I said that Africa is losing its way, because Africa fought for the freedom. And by this time, all the African countries could be fighting on how they can stabilize their economy, their resources, the infrastructures, the security system. But instead, all countries are fighting for freedom, for corruption. Corruption and employment, that is the status of Africa. Instead of our leaders creating more jobs for the youth of their countries, they are creating more job opportunities across outside African borders. They are creating more job opportunities for the people who have learned and have achieved better grades and better graduates, better degrees. But they are creating jobs in some foreign countries, jobs that can be done by the people who has not even gone to school. This is the status of Africa. Our youths are dying in the seas, trying to go outside Africa to look for life, look for green pastures, while here they are living the green pasture. Africa is the green pasture. By this time, we have to be running on tasks and issues like uniting Africa, having one army, having one currency. These are the things that should be being.
We must unite now. We must have one army. We must have one currency. We must have one foreign policy. We must be united. And I can hear the Osagyefo saying, I do not want to be the leader of that country. I simply want unity. And I'm saying that we must live here with one united government. They listen not to the Osagyefo. I can still hear those immortal words of the Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah telling his Ghanaian peoples that the independence of Ghana means nothing if the rest of Africa is not independent. I can hear the Osagyefo Kwame Nkrumah.
So we have to discuss this. We have to talk this. We have to talk about this because it is getting to us. We are not the problem, but the problem is we have to bother about the generation that will come after us, our generation, on how and at which status and condition they will find the Africa. Which history are they coming to read from Africa? They'll come and told that there was freedom fighters who fought for African freedom. They killed, they sacrificed their life. And after that, there came some people who came with their greediness to what they are focused for is to enrich themselves, take everything to keep for themselves, but not building up Africa. What they focused for is to destroy the Africa. And from there, they were left with nothing to inherit, but only to come and start straining and struggling for the life. Where is the immortal words of PLO Lumumba? Where is the immortal words of Kwame Nkrumah? Where
I am not African because I was born in Africa, but because Africa was born in me. Action without thought is empty. Thought without action is blind. It is clear that we must find an African solution to our problems and that this can only be found in African unity. Divided, we are weak. United, Africa will become one of the greatest forces for good in the world. Those who would judge us merely by the heights we have achieved would do well to remember the depths from which we started. Africa is a paradox which illustrates and highlights neo-colonialism. Her earth is rich, yet the products that come from above and below the soil continue to enrich not Africans predominantly, but groups and individuals who operate to Africa's impoverishment. The independence of Ghana is meaningless unless it is linked up with the total liberation of the African continent. We have awakened. We will not sleep anymore.
is the immortal words of Muammar Gaddafi.
Of power, of dignity, of freedom for Africa. Africa for Africans. The land of Africa is for Africans everywhere. Our land is our land. Everything is our land. My brothers, everywhere. You are the master of your continent. You are free in your continent. In this historical day, you are strong now. We are marching to the glory, forward, to the progress.
Let us cooperate and fight for the Africa. Let us elect the leaders who are responsible to work for the Africans. Let put in office some people, leaders, who are there for their not for their own interest, but for the interest of their countries.
Breaking news is that Burkina Faso President Ibrahim Traoré has accused African leaders of beggary. The 35-year-old president, who came to power in a coup and became the world's youngest leader, Traoré thanked Russian President Vladimir Putin for deciding to send free grain to African countries and expressed that Africa should become self-sufficient in food by the next soon. My generation does not understand this. How can Africa, which has so much wealth, become the poorest continent in the world today? And why African leaders travel the world to beg, he said. On the other hand, the situation in Niger is even getting worse. And let me say that the recent military coup in Niger Republic has widely stripped naked what could be the remaining cover of the treacherous, unethical, and repugnant role of France in Africa that had been before the coup in Niger. The mission of the white man invading Africa 1,000s of years ago was to conquer, steal, exploit, and occupy the continent for his own development. All his deeds were centered only on what he could get from Africa and how to drain the continent for his sustenance. Everything he brought to Africa was evil and for his selfish interest. Sadly, his mission of exploitation centuries ago still remains the same today. The only change he altered was his strategy. While we all must condemn military coups, we must as Africans embrace the reality that the gathering of imperialists and the threat of military attack in Niger Republic by France, the US, Britain, and their conspiring allies are not for the interest of Africa. These countries have a history of what Macron called evil that is still going on in Africa. And wherever they gather on issues concerning Africa, like it is currently in Niger Republic, is equal to the Berlin Conference of 1884, where they came together and cruelly balkanized African territories for their interests. The leaders of these countries have no record of being fair to Africa or showing respect to African leaders.
For the interest of their generations, for the interests of their people they're representing. By doing this, then we can be able to fix the problems, because it's still time. It is still early. We can fix the problems. We can fight and stand and reclaim what we believe that it belongs to us, but not focusing on some people, our leaders only believing to be some people's puppets, just for their own benefits. Just for the situation of Africa is worsening each and every day. Check out at Kenyan politics, whereby the president has been elected only for the 2 years. Now everyone don't want to see or associate with the president of the country. Anywhere they go to gather in public events, all they are doing there is to shout that the president must go. The same situation that is happening today in America, this is the same situation is happening here in Kenya and in African countries. This is not the time. This is not the time. This is not the things to be. This is not we were willing to have. This is not what the freedom fighters were fighting for. They sacrificed their life knowing that they were making the better ways for their generation. They fight and sacrificed their life because they knew well that they're making better place and better countries, better planet for the generation to come and enjoy, but not the country to come and left to the foreigners to come and exploit, take their generational wealth, take their minerals and take their everything from their countries. Let us put hands together and support the leaders who have the interest to defend Africa and its resources. Tell me what you think in the comment section. Let's discuss about this. This channel. Probably don't forget to subscribe if you're a new subscriber. If you are a returning subscriber, I thank you very much for supporting, and stay tuned and be blessed.